Hey guys, it's me and Dragon. So today's video I will do what should you pull for 2.05 in Woodening Wave. So this is between Phrolova, Roccia, Cantarella, and Brant. And of course I will answer if you kind of question should I get the early sequence or the weapon, something like that. So yeah, let's get started. But before, I would very appreciate for any just like, subscribe, or just comment. I really appreciate because lately algorithm kind of changed in YouTube, so it just make it rough to get pushed by algorithm. So if you help me, I will appreciate. But if not, it's totally fine too. The first character is Phrolova, the newest character. So in here, I can say there's a couple positive that I want to mention, which is first, she is still a strong main DPS. I know some of the people say she is not top of the meta, which is true, but she is already strong enough to clear all the content. Even like you want to say like slower, probably like slower like what 10 seconds in Tower Diversity, which is not really that much if you're a casual, maybe speedrunner. But yeah, other than that, it's still pretty much a strong main DPS. And second, this is the most that I like about her is that she is actually a flexible DPS. This is typical DPS that I like, that you can use her not only like as a pure main DPS, but you can somehow do as a like sub DPS type, let's say like Changli. Yeah, she's very similar like Changli, where you can make her as a main DPS check, sub DPS check. So she can become like that in here. So it's not the same like Zani that only log as a main DPS. So she is more like flexible in terms of DPS, and I like it. Also, the continuation in here is that she can work as a dual DPS because Phrolova is like main DPS that can do like off-field damage, and the damage off-field is actually really good. So you can pair with some of the DPS, which one of the character that work really well is Jian, because Phrolova also buff heavy attack. So like Jian beneficial from heavy attack in here, so having a solid off-field damage and also buffing heavy attack, it actually make Jian team with Phrolova, it's actually a good team though. I'm not even kidding, it's actually nice to play too, it's smoother. Like to be honest, I enjoy more than Xiaokona team because at least in gameplay it feels smoother in. So I am pretty much sure if in the future we have more heavy like attack main DPS, she can also work pretty much. For Phrolova Negative, or things to note regarding her is that first, her meta team, basically, 3 of them is quite vulnerable to getting interrupted. Basically, like Cantarella easy to getting interrupted, while for the also like Roccia while plunging, interrupted easily. Phrolova itself, when you do basic attack, quite easy to getting interrupted. So maybe if you're a speedrunner or like to do a literally spot run, it may be kinda annoying to keep retrying to not getting interrupted. I think it's quite annoying for speedrunner, but maybe for casual, it's not supposed to be a problem. And second, I want to give you reminders that Phrolova is typical character that the first rotation will be weaker than second, just because she cannot trigger the special intro in here on the first rotation. So that's why after 2 rotation, her damage usually better than the first one. So because of that, it's kind of disadvantage if you like to speedrun, like you want to start fast on the first like literary rotation, you basically cannot. It's rather weak compared to the second rotation. So with this kind of situation, like doing like Tower Diversity, not really that great, because usually Tower Diversity in general I can clear like what 1 or 2 rotation or 1.5 rotation, right? So being weak in the first rotation, it's kind of big advantage compared to other like top DPS. Their first, second, third usually already stable, but not with Phrolova. She start to shine on second rotation. And next, this is no weakness, but I just want to give you reminders that Phrolova's signature weapon give her a lot of massive boosts. So if you only have the 5-star standard weapon, it's probably have quite huge gap. It doesn't mean you cannot clear content, you can still clear it, but the gap is quite like noticeable. But again, it's not supposed to be a trouble if you only like casual. Only if you like to play like very meta, you can see a noticeable difference. And maybe some of you wonder the performance in terms single target or AoE. She actually performed better in AoE. That's why when you see some of my Tower Adversity run where there's multiple enemy, I start with Phrolova because she's doing pretty much better in terms of AoE. That's why like I can say if you play, let's say in Whimpering Way, she actually better compared to single target like was in Tower Diversity. And regarding like how Phrolova compared to Camellia, then I can say Phrolova is not better than Camellia. It's just mostly as an alternative like team in Havoc. So in the end, it just depends your preference. If you like pure main DPS, of course just Camellia. But if you want more something like hybrid, like half and half, has some buffing capability, flexible DPS, something like that, then of course it's Phrolova. As for my recommendation for you to pull for Phrolova, which is first, if you need a flexible DPS, meaning that a DPS that pretty much you can put mix and match in different type of teams, not only like Cloak, let's say like Zani that only like literally one archetype, or Lupa case where literally only mono fusion. Then if you more something flexible, Phrolova can be the option here because she's relatively flexible. You can pair with even like dual DPS, like I already said before, like Jian, Carlotta, and she can actually work pretty well and can clear content without any problem though actually. Second, maybe if you still don't have any Havoc DPS, then you can consider to pull for her because she is still pretty much a good main DPS in Havoc. Also continuation, if you have Cantarella, of course I recommend for you to pull for Phrolova because Cantarella and Phrolova work really well. And lastly, if you like character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Phrolova, she'll get early sequence or signature weapon, and for me just get the signature weapon just because the signature weapon give you a lot of buff, like basically give more attack, skill buff, echo skill buff, ignore defense. That's basically stack like stats buff, and also it's 100% a safety choice. However, if you want to go for S1, this is also another good stopping point because it will buff the 4 damage, which is pretty good. But the one I want to highlight the most, which is the quality of life in here, because if you have less than 2 nodes and if you are not in Maestro and you are stayed out of combat for 4 seconds, you can get at least 2 nodes. So this is basically can make your rotation faster, especially we can skip the first rotation faster. That's actually pretty huge too. Like the first rotation of Phrolova is relatively weaker, so we kind of want to get out from the first rotation as fast as you can. So that's why this is also pretty good in general to make the rotation is faster. For S2, this is also another good stopping point. It gives you quite big in terms of damage increase. Mostly it will buff the Scarlet Coda, which is the hold basic if you already have the 6 nodes. So yeah, that's basically it. Second character is Roccia. Roccia is probably one of the characters that I can say very underrated and underappreciated by a lot of player, because player when it come to like pulling, you only see like end game, only like power, just open tier list on certain website and see like, yeah, she is only a side grade from Sanhua and that's the only thing they care. But actually Roccia itself as a character, she offer more than just power. She offer a lot more, which is convenience and other stuff that you probably underestimate. Yeah, she surely in terms of power only Sanhua side grade, but she has other more than that, which is this one that I want to share. First, her crowd control. Her crowd control is actually really good. Crowd control really good for exploration, echo farming. You can just gather by the skill stuff and you can just plunge, and yeah, enemy can die, you can just farming echo efficiently. So yeah, basically Roccia is one of my favorite to echo farm the minion because it's just so easy to just like gather enemy at once, and this is actually can save your time a lot if you really do a lot of echo farming or at least do your daily routine. Roccia really helpful. So probably I use Roccia more than Zani because Zani, yeah, I only use on what? Tower Adversity and that's it. Open world I barely even use, but Roccia itself I use a lot in open world. So yeah, for day-to-day basis, actually Roccia is very convenient for you to use. Other than that, because this crowd control is pretty good at getting enemy, Whimpering Way she's also really good regardless what the team is. It's not always about Camellia. If you just pair with other like team, it still work. It's still very convenient for you to have Roccia in Whimpering Ways, and this is why I think people underestimate her potential in here. So in very short, like she's a very good unit in terms of like exploration, echo farming, and Whimpering Waste. And of course Roccia right now, of course in terms of team, is become better too because she right now you can pair with Phrolova. So of course in terms of value right now she's become better too. However, of course, there's a couple of downsides that I want to mention, which is first is that if you want to maximize Roccia buff, you need 70% of crit rate. So without her signature weapon or any crit rate based weapon, it's kinda hard for you to get 70% though. It's not impossible or as hard as Brant, but you still need to get a little bit high crit rate roll. So because of that, it might be a little bit annoying for some people to min-maxing it. Another thing is that Roccia, when she performed the plunge attack, it's quite vulnerable, so she quite easily to getting interrupted, especially if enemy hit you too hard. Yeah, she's just getting interrupted, which is quite annoying. It's kinda ruin your whole combo. And as for my recommendation for you to pull for Roccia, which is first, if you may be type of person that want a convenience and you really like enjoying like echo farming, do like the daily stuff, like type of open world exploration, something like that, then yeah, Roccia is one that I recommend because she makes a lot more convenient in your exploration and farming. And second, of course, if you need a good crowd controller or to clear easy in Whimpering Ways, and she's also one of the character that I recommend because she's really good in Whimpering Ways. I think I always use her in every single like whimpering waste. And third, of course, if you want to get a good support or sub DPS unit for whatever like Havoc purpose, either for Camellia or even Phrolova itself, then yeah, she can be also another good additional for you to pull. And lastly, of course, if you like the character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Roccia, should you pull for early sequence or signature weapon? For me, I will prioritize first the signature weapon, just because of course it will give her more personal damage. Also, it make you easier to reach 70% crit rate to get the maximum buff from the Roccia itself. And also, of course, the weapon like banner is 100%, so I think it's just too good and there's no risk literally in there. However, if you prioritize more her smoothness in her rotation, then S1 is basically can be a good alternative too, just because in here you will immune to any interruption when you do the basic attack. Basically the plunge attack, you will immune from the any type of attack, which is I think it's just really good, because in Roccia that one is one of the aspects that are really annoying from her, very easy to getting like interrupted. So with this, basically your any run will not getting interrupted anymore, and I think that's kind of huge too if you just prioritize like the smoothness in terms of the rotation itself. Also like give more concerto energy and get more imagination. It's pretty nice, also like convenience too. But in the end, I will still go with the weapon, just because in this one you still need to deal with 50-50, which is I don't like it, so I will still prioritize first with the weapon. However, of course, if you already aim S2, then S2 already better than a weapon, because you get this very good feature, and of course will give you like more Havoc damage bonus to the team. It's also pretty much good too. The next character is Cantarella. Cantarella also character I can say quite underestimated by people, mostly because she's actually all-rounder, that actually she's good at everything. Basically, main DPS check, you can see my tower diversity, I don't even use Camellia, she still can clear, still kind of like have 30 seconds, something like that. So it's actually already really good character, can heal, can provide like buff. Also, she can become sub DPS if you want to pair, let's say, with Camellia. And of course, right now when we have Phrolova, she is literally one of the best option in Phrolova team. So because of that, she's actually a really good unit actually as an all-rounder in Havoc whatever purpose. And outside Havoc, she also can become a good like partner or sub DPS for Jinxie itself, just because she has like coordinate attack and resonance skill buff in here. So that's why like she can be a good alternative in here. Another thing also, of course, in terms of exploration, she is pretty good, just because she can heal by herself. You don't need other character, and also like her forte have like quite good AoE, so echo farming also pretty good with her. As for Cantarella downside, she has one downside that I think quite annoying, which is her forte. It's quite easy to getting interrupted by the enemy, especially if they hit you too hard. Yes, your basically forte getting cancelled, and her forte is basically one of her best damage output in here. So yeah, if you're already getting interrupted, that means you quite have a huge DPS loss. And next, this is only to give you a reminder, of course, being all-rounder, that means like in terms of DPS, it will not like out DPS like Camellia. In terms of healing, Shorekeeper Farina will be better, so something like that. So don't think like, oh, she can do everything. Doesn't mean that everything that she does like literally like on the same level. It's just like usually below them, but it's good enough. And as for my recommendation for you to pull for Cantarella, which is first, if you need an all-rounder or multifunction character that especially can work in any type of Havoc team purpose, then yeah, Cantarella is one that I really recommend. Literally main DPS, sub DPS, healer in a Havoc team. Yeah, basically she can just do all of that purpose. Second, if you have Phrolova, then of course Cantarella is one of the best unit for Phrolova team. That's why I really recommend for you to get Cantarella. And third, if you maybe need an alternative of Jinxie buffer, let's say you don't have Jeju, and then yeah, you can get Cantarella in here, because yeah, she can be an alternative choice for Jinxie partner. Third, if you're a casual player, I think getting Cantarella is low-key really good, just because she can do everything at once. That means in terms of value, it's quite high. You can just always keep using her in any type of like team, especially in a Havoc purpose, or even you have Jinxie. I think it will be very valuable, because you can just adjust like whatever type of role she can just basically can fit, and it will be useful. So I think for casual will be very good, because you don't really care about being meta, right? You just want to clear content, right? Usually as a casual. Also exploration pretty good. I think she can be a good option for casual. And lastly, of course, if you like character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Cantarella, she will pull for early sequence or signature weapon, and I can say just very depends. But in general, her weapon is the priority just because of course it will give her more personal damage, give you like critical damage, everything's pretty much good for her personal damage, and of course it's 100%, so it's a safer choice. However, if you let's say have String Master, then I really recommend for you to just get S1, just because String Master different with her signature weapon is not really that much. I already even have comparison, it's only very small, so getting S1 is actually better, mostly because it also give her more damage from the skill, and the 4 circuit is getting buffed by also like 50% increase, actually pretty good in here. Recover 1 more point trends, it's also nice quality of life, and the most important is it will be immune to any interruption while you casting the for the circuit, which is quite sometimes annoying. Like I already told you before, in her weakness is that she can easily to getting interrupted, and here S1 can solve the problem. That's why I say if you already have String Master, just get S1. It's just good in terms of quality of life and both damage increase. If you don't have any String Master, then signature weapon is way to go. If you have String Master, then going for S1. As for S2, of course, it's always give you a bunch of damage increase in here, so that's why it's always better than signature weapon. And the last character is Brant. So Brant basically is just the same like Cantarella in terms of discussion, but the exception is that he's in the fusion team, so he's really good all-rounder in fusion team. So main DPS check, healer check, sub DPS is check. But the one that I can say make it different in here is that if you have Lupa, then I can say Brant value is really good and very high, just because Lupa won a mono fusion team, right? And Brant basically I can say the best option in here, even better than Changli, just because he can do everything, and especially healing. In mono team right now, mostly only like what, dealing DPS or sub DPS, none of them that healer. So that's why Brant in her value is really good if you have Lupa. But Ironet actually just the same case like Cantarella, like she a good all-rounder you can use in any multi-purpose in fusion stuff, or even like outside fusion he still can work. Like whatever, if you need a buff in terms of resonance skill, he still can work. Let's say like Carlotta, something like that. And overall too, he is good because he can do everything at once. As for downside of Brant, there's a couple of them, which is first is that in order to min-maxing Brant, it's quite hard, especially if you don't have signature weapon. It make it even like much harder, because you kind of want 180% of energy regen to maximize like his potential, and also a good amount of crit rate and crit damage. So because of that, it's quite hard, and also in the same time indirectly make you you want the signature weapon, like it's kinda necessary. So because of that, yeah, it's quite unfortunate. And also the small thing is that he is quite easy to getting interrupted, but it's not as bad of course like Roccia, so you kinda just need to getting used to. And lastly, of course, this is just a reminder, same like Cantarella, don't expect like because he's all-rounder he will be excel in everything, like will be like become a better option. Like let's say like healing, of course your keeper will heal more, and of course in the future if you have future main fusion main DPS, then of course the DPS will be more for sure than Brant. So yeah, keep that in mind, put that expectation. And for my recommendation for you to pull for Brant, which is first is that if you need for all-rounder that can work in any fusion team, then yeah, Brant is literally way to go. He can become anything, like from DPS to healer. Yeah, he is a good choice in any type of fusion team. Second, if you have Lupa, then I really recommend to get Brant, just because Lupa won mono fusion team, and Brant is basically the best choice right now for me, because he can do damage and also healing, which is none of the other character in fusion can do that. And third, maybe if you just need a comfy character like casual to just clear all the content, like basically exploration tools, like same case like Cantarella, then yeah, Brant is really also a comfy character for casual, because he can just basically do anything though. Not the best, but at least it's good enough to do everything. And lastly, of course, if you like the character gameplay, feel free to pull for him. As for Brant, should you pull for early sequence or signature weapon? I think it's just very easy. Just go for the signature weapon, just because you kinda need her signature weapon to meet threshold of energy regen 180% conveniently, and also get like good amount of crit. So because of that, the weapon is way to go. Also massive boosts his DPS and also 100%, so I think just that's a good way to go. Although his S1 is actually good, improve his damage is quite good also in general, but weapon is just too good. Azu also a really good massive increase basically. Of course, it's technically in terms of DPS already better than weapon, but again, I recommend to met the threshold first for the energy regens. That's why I still prioritize first with the signature weapon. So yeah, it's pretty much that's it. So if you ask my verdict, who should you pull in 2.5? Basically on this banner, none of them are anything like you really have to pull. It mostly feels like just very depends on your purpose, very subjective. If you care mostly about like world exploration, eco farming, like day-to-day basis, then I think Roccia will be a good additional in here that I will recommend, because I think it's very underrated. People like kind of underestimate that actually day-to-day basis quite important too. And also Whimpering Ways Roccia also really good because the crowd control. However, if you care more about like end game or even like completing your meta team, of course like Brant or Cantarella can be the option here. Just very depend on what team that you build. And lastly, of course, if you want to follow the hype train, then get Phrolova. So yeah, I hope it can be helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.